A very warm welcome to the students, teachers, mentors, and everyone else who has joined us today for yet another session in the ATL Tinkerpreneur YouTube live series. We are currently in the week 4 of the Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp. So I hope all of you are working on the business models of your digital product businesses that you have worked uh, putting together in the last 3 weeks. So this is Vishnu Priya. I'm from the ATL core team, and I'm here today bringing another exciting topic for discussion, which is entrepreneurial mindset. I'm glad to welcome Mr. Sushil Mungekar from Npower today. Npower
Hello.
is our Hi Sushil, yeah. Npower is our very own made in India startup, and it's on a mission to empower every child with entrepreneurial skills. A lot of you would have already participated in their flagship competition, which is India's Future Tycoons. So our relationship with Empower goes a long way back. And a quick introduction about our speaker, Mr. Shushil. He is an inspirational speaker, entrepreneurship educator, and a design thinking practitioner. He founded Empower in 2016, the venture that nurtures 21st century life skills and entrepreneurial mindset among school children. The company has a fun learning ecosystem for school children covering more than 26,000 students across the country. Apart from that, he has also been a serial entrepreneur and has built and co founded innovative business models and ventures such as Chamak, Arogya Finance, Index Advisory, etc. So he's also worked on mergers and acquisition, business development, financial services, and risk management. So pretty diverse portfolio. Mr. Sushil, we are glad to have you on board. We also have Mr. Arvind from the team who would be joining us today. So yeah, so very glad to have you both. So Mr. Sushil, over to you. I think we can get started with this exciting topic, which is very relevant in current day and to the larger vision of the Tinkerpreneur Bootcamp. Over to you.
Super, Vishnu Priya. We are so glad and equally excited, just as you and all the people who are watching there on YouTube. So, a big hello to you. Uh, this is indeed a great opportunity to work with Atal Tinker Lab and talk on this forum. Quickly, I have my co-founder Arvind Narayanan also on the screen. So, a big hello from him as well. And we are excited to talk about entrepreneurial mindset. And the entrepreneurial mindset, hota kya hai? What does that entrepreneurial mindset means? What entrepreneurship means? Is it so difficult to get into that? Can I do that? So there must be lots and lots of questions as you young kids are actually looking at it. So hold on your breath. I think next 60 minutes we are going to have a super joyride to understand what does that mean and how we can go ahead. So let me just start by starting a small presentation for you. My screen is visible, Vishnu Priya? Yeah, great. So that's where we are. I think thanks, Vishnu Priya, for a great introduction. But that's, Empower is something which was not at the beginning. And, this has really happened when I started waking up with the world changes which are happening around the world. Uh, Almost like my past life, I, being a chemical engineer, you would have found me somewhere in these columns, working out there and 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 stuff like that. And then after my MBA, I moved to financial markets and then working on derivatives and all, nowhere close to entrepreneurial mindset, education, and all that stuff. Then I moved to corporate strategy with in Tata Group, and then I left that to start working in own startup ecosystem. So almost a decade that I spent in startup ecosystem. This is something which I, over a period of my career through different vectors, I could learn a lot of things. So one thing which I realized during this entire journey is we need to build entrepreneurial mindset. That is something which can be built, which can be nurtured, and especially it can be nurtured at the school level. And that's where my next journey started in 2016. As Vishnu Priya said, we started Empower as an organization, something which makes us up at every point of time to work with people like you, students like you, young brains, and nurture entrepreneurial mindset among you. So that's what our journey is all about. This journey is named as empower. So that opened up a complete, a different canvas for all of us. So let me start with this favorite picture. This is one of my most favorite picture. This is nothing to do with the scenery and the beauty of that. This picture has been taken on Honduras River in South America, and the name of the bridge which you can see on the left is Cholutika Bridge, and that's what was built by Japanese engineers, and was super solid bridge. And do you see any problem in this, Vishnupriya, in this picture?
Yeah, I mean, it is quite unnatural in a way. It's not really on top of the water body that you have. It's like before the water body, right? So
I am
that
sure.
way it
I mean,
is strange.
and everybody
Yeah.
of you must be laughing at these engineers and what the hell they've done. They have built a bridge not on the river or somewhere else, and that's the problem. But hold a minute. Do you think that the Japanese engineers are fools to build a bridge like that? Certainly not. So when they built this bridge, actually the river was flowing below the water, below the bridge. Okay, the river was flowing below the bridge, and there were proper roads. But because of a lot of hurricanes and all, what happened over the period of time, the river changed its course, and all the roads to go on the bridge and outside the bridge have virtually got completely collapsed. And today we see this picture. Despite of hurricanes, there nothing happened to the structure. There are so many other bridges in the vicinity collapsed, but because of the amazing work that was done by engineers, nothing happened to the bridge. The bridge remained as it is. But unfortunately, today this bridge is of no use. Why I'm showing this picture to you is because we always have a lot of good things, but over a period of time, if it doesn't change with time, they become obsolete. Be it your own thought process, be it the products that you use, be it the services that you use, or be it our own education system that we go through. Decades after decade, if it has remained the same over a period of time, it doesn't make much sense. However good that would be at that point of time. So I want you guys to remember this picture throughout your life, to remember that if you do not change over the with the time, whatever good or however fantastic work that you do actually becomes obsolete over a period of time. So that gives us a mantra that what is that one word that we should always constantly focus on, especially you folks. You all are in. I was told you are in grade 6 to 8 to 12, 10 to 12, going through the education at various point of time, mugging, reading, by hiding definitions and all. So what you always need to remember, that one golden word is change. And if you change over a period of time, you will be able to see a lot of stuff that you can do significantly better compared to others. Okay, so change makes everything. I mean, it is always said that the change is the only constant in life. I mean, so it brings me to that kind of a. Let's look at how people react to change. So there are some people who are called as laggards, and the percentage shown here is the study done on the total population. So if you take total world's population, around 16% of that would be laggards. And what does laggard means? Laggard means they are very little to change. They are change karega. They are not interested in making change. They're the last one to change their mobile phones and switch to smartphones. They're last one to look at the fashion. Everything goes absolutely slow, and they're, so to say, a change averse. I'm sure none of you sitting out there jumping in your seats would be laggards. Nobody of us would like to be in laggard, right? Let's move to the next one. These are late majority. Almost 34% of the population lies in this. These guys change, what we call as the change seekers, but they are like late guys. They are the guys who will actually flow with the flow, and then ultimately they will change because others are changing. Not something which they would enjoy, but something which now the world is changing. So everybody is wearing a mask nowadays. They'll start wearing the mask. Everybody is on Zoom and WebEx. They'll start using that and understand all that stuff. Let's look at one more dimension. These are early measures. These are the guys have fun. They are again 34%, and they're like sleeper dogs. They start looking at changes around them and start looking at how they can use these changes around them and be the first one to do that. So they will be the first one to catch Netflix. They'll be the first one to go on social media. They'll be able to find out what is happening in fashion. सब कुछ पता होना चाहिए on the fingertips. So these are the guys who are actually looking at how the changes are happening. I'm sure none of you are in the Laggards. I don't know how many of you would like yourself in late majority or early majority. So we have almost covered 68 plus 16, so almost 86% of the population. What does that mean? That the larger population of the world lies in early majority, late majority, and laggards. यहाँ पे पूरा population. Now let's look at the guys on the left hand side. But before we go there, just a quick question to you all. Do you think you are in early majority or late majority or laggards? If you do not find yourself in this, do not get worried because something is lying on the left hand side, which I'm going to show you in next 10 seconds. But if you lie here, I think we need to really ask a question to ourselves that should I be lying here or should I come to the left one? And the left quadrant is actually done by early adopters and innovators. So that population is about 16% of the population, but they are the guys who start looking at changes rapidly. Not only that, they start building those changes on their own. Look at those innovators at 2.5% on the left hand side. They are the one who start looking at how I can make those changes happen, how I can make those changes which other people can use. So just to tell you that these guys are the one who dominate the world. If you look at a complete spectrum, and this is actually known as a change adoption curve, this is how people universally respond to changes. Now take a pause and ask yourself a question. Do you fall in the left quadrant of innovators and early adopters? Or let me rephrase the question. Do you want to fall on the left hand side? How to become that? How innovators can ultimately evolve and all? वो सब हम देखेंगे. But do you have a mindset to fall on the left hand side? I think that's the question. If you have that question, if you have that zeal, then put yes as a comment or a thumbs up in the comment box, and I would be glad to see lots of comments which are coming. But that's the mindset. Yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Vishnu.
thanks so much, Sushil. And I see a lot of comments coming in, and students are commenting as early majority and innovators. While I'd
Wow.
like to believe that almost all of them are early adopters or innovators,
Super.
but this is a very insightful curve that you have shown us. And
Super. So हमें
yes,
mindset बनाना है कि we want to get the left hand side. अभी वो कैसा करना है, how we want to do that, let's hold on. I mean, next 45-50 minutes we are going to just spend on that and see how that happens. But I'm so glad that you're at least making a mindset. So in a span of 7-8 minutes, we have made ourselves change drivers. We want to drive the change. So all of us are going to sit in this rocket and look at the future. So whatever has happened in the past, let it go. It is for oldies like us. So believe that you are now able to control your own future. You are now able to control your own destiny. And in that rocket, I want you guys to sit and then look at the future. So believe me, if you can drive the change, you can write future for yourself. And that's what I want each one of you to do, irrespective of whether you get 50 marks in maths or 70 marks in science or history mera acha nahi hai, yeah, I'm not good at language. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is that mindset. If you believe that you want to be a change driver, then you can sit in this rocket and you can define your own future. Done? Let's move ahead. And if you want to do that, this slide is a very, very hard hitting slide because all of us always remain in our own comfort zone. And real magic happens actually when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone. What do you mean by comfort zone? Comfort zones of anything. We have great parents, who give us everything on the platter. जो चाहिए हमें सब मिलता है. They give us lots and lots of pampering. We have great school that we go to. We have ATL tinkering labs and that kind of a setup we have, which government has built. So we take a lot of benefits. So we have built our own comfort zone, our own thinking, our own systems, our own house, our own comfortable life. But nothing happens in that comfort life. You have to push yourself out of this to actually get into the magic. And that's where many people have built magic. We are going to see how people have built that magic. And when I'm talking about magic, I'm not talking about magicians. I'm talking about the real magic that these guys have created, which we are using day in, day out. So come out of your comfort zone. If you want to be a change driver, you can't sit in your comfort zone. Get out of that. Yep. With that mindset, let's look at three things. Today's topic is entrepreneurial mindset. So naturally, the first question which will come to your mind: what the hell is this entrepreneurial mindset? Can somebody tell me what is entrepreneur? It is so difficult to even pronounce. It is so difficult to even remember the spelling. I took about 12 days to actually perfect the spelling itself. So how is it? It is so difficult, or is it only for Ambanis and Adanis, or people who have lots and lots of money only they can become entrepreneur? Poor people or middle class people like us can't become an entrepreneur? I'm sure all of you would have those kind of questions. Okay. The second question will come is, okay, entrepreneurial mindset is good, but why do I need entrepreneurial mindset? I want to do a job. I want to become a doctor. I want to become a lawyer. Or I'm a guitarist. I am a painter. In which way I'm connected to entrepreneurial mindset? It's like commerce or business. I don't enjoy that. And second thing is, if I'm going to work in a bank or work in a tech company, it's if I'm working in Google, it's the job of Satya Nadella. Why should I even bother about this? If I'm going to work in ICICI Bank, it's the management that will decide. And third, if I decide to take an entrepreneur mind, how do I build one? Okay, so let's go through step by step. And believe me, it's going to be a thought-provoking ride for all of you. If you go through this flow, and at the end of the day, we are going to ask ourselves the question that if it is so easy and so simple to build an entrepreneur mindset, why can't I build? That's the question that I want to end this session with. Okay, so fasten your seatbelts. Let's move to the next one. Okay, let's take head on that what this entrepreneurial mindset is. The first question: what is entrepreneurship? Okay, now many of us, especially I'm now talking in Indian context, अपने देश में अपने country में, entrepreneurship, so to say, is misunderstood. Many people feel that entrepreneurship is business, vyapar, dhanda, making money, building something so that I can make profits or I can make loss. Oh, it's a great risk. So there are lots and lots of things are connoted to this. Vishnu Priya, do you agree with me? Many people feel that way, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is such a dangerous thing, and why should I even get into that? And that's what the thought process is. I'm going to take this head on and I'm going to define entrepreneurship in a different manner. And this is not, frankly, my definition. This is a definition done by somebody who is known as Lion of Entrepreneurship, Professor Howard Stevenson. He's a Harvard Business School professor. He's known as the Lion of Entrepreneurship. And I was blown away when I looked at this entire definition. He has defined this in just 3 words. And I want you guys to focus on these 3 words. What are the keywords? Pursue. Keyword is a big word. Everybody loves keywords being students, right? So it says 3 words: pursue, pursuit of opportunities, and pursuit of opportunities beyond resources control. And the definition ends. Pursuit means relentlessly, मतलब desperately किसी के लिए try करना, day in, day out, making that as a passion. And what are you pursuing? You are pursuing opportunities. So somewhere there's a problem, and you really see this as an opportunity. You believe that I need to solve that, and you believe that I can solve that. And therefore, you have a pursuit of opportunities. And it says beyond resources control. So when you are pursuing opportunity, you don't even care about, do I have resources? I am in grade 9. I don't even know coding. How can I solve this problem? It requires coding, or it requires medical science knowledge, or it requires lots and lots of money, or it requires lots of people. So many resources that you need. Okay, when you are pursuing opportunities, you don't even look at, because believe me, if you have a pursuit of opportunities, resources will follow you. And mark my words, write it down, keep it with you, and you realize when you'll actually walk entrepreneurial journey, that great opportunities and great pursuit, okay, these are the only important thing for conducting entrepreneurship. People and money and resources chase if you have pursuit of opportunities. And there are n number of examples of that. In the interest of time, I'm not going to talk about it. But what I'm going to tell you is, look at this definition, so simple. It doesn't talk about money, it doesn't talk about profits, it doesn't talk about creating ventures, it doesn't talk about that. It says, boss, अगर आपके पास में opportunity है, you see that opportunity, and if you have that zeal to pursue that, and if you don't care about resources, you're willing to take that risk, then you are an entrepreneur. In other words, if you have this, you have an entrepreneur mind. It's such a powerful and simple definition. Yeah, Vishnupriya, you have any
Yes.
question?
So we have an interesting definition of entrepreneurship coming in from our viewers here. So to innovate something new is entrepreneurship. So what do you have to say about that, Sushil?
Wonderful. I am glad that somebody is saying that to innovate something. So when do you innovate? I'm going to talk about it. When do you innovate? You innovate when you see an opportunity. And since you're raising the topic, many people feel that, oh, I have got an idea, and that's the starting point. Unfortunately, idea is not the starting point. I'm making a big statement. Unfortunately, idea is not the starting point. And I'm going to come to that because that's going to clear many of our beliefs. Okay, so let's stick to this definition, and I'm going to come to innovation and ideas little later. Okay, so this is what entrepreneurial mindset is all about. Now, if it is such a simple thing, I should ask a question to myself that why I can't follow. I need to have three things. One is I need to have an ability to understand a problem and convert that into an opportunity. I need to have pursuit to look at that opportunity, and I need to work on that without caring for resources. If I have these three things, then I have an entrepreneur mind. So, in other words, entrepreneurship is not a job; it's a mindset. You have to have that mindset in place, and the best part is when it is best to create a mindset. Fortunately for you, the age of 9 to 18, exactly the age where you are, is the where is the age where you start building your own beliefs, your habits, your thinking, and that is the most formative age when you create a mindset. So you are actually learning or understanding this at the right age. Unfortunately, I didn't learn when I was of your age, and I'm sure so is true with Vishnu Priya and Arvind and all of us. But you guys get a chance to understand at this point of time, and you can nurture your mindset. So entrepreneurship is a mindset, and that is something which we need to take. So let's understand that why do I need this entrepreneur mindset? मैं इसका क्या करूँगा? I mean, great to know about entrepreneurial definition and mindset and all. What will I do? Okay, let's look at why and your life. So irrespective of whether you are going to get into jobs or you are going to have your own professions like doctor or lawyer or performing arts, you're going to be an actor, you're going to be a politician, you're going to be a social changer, thinker, or you are going to be a blogger, social media influencer, so on and so forth. So independently working, taking a job, that's another one. Okay, or start something on your own. In each of these things, remember one thing, our lives always revolve around users. I think this word users, ये अभी अपने दिमाग ओपन करो, उसके अंदर वो डाल दो एंड दिमाग फिट कर दो. You are constantly surrounded by users, and users are multiple. Even when you are in the family, your parents, your siblings, your uncle, aunties, or the colleague that you stay, the school that you are going, everybody is a user of your own stuff. Okay. And therefore, we continuously deal with user. Let's say you take a job in Google. Okay. How will Google uh, pay you? Google will only pay you if Google makes money. And Google will make money if people use Google products. So ultimately, it is dependent on the users. Okay. Whatever work that you do, you will have your own user, set of users. You'll have marketing team as a user. You'll have somebody else as a user. If you're a doctor, then patients are your user. If you're a lawyer, clients are your user. If you're a blogger, readers are your user. If you are an engineer, then the stuff that you are building, the products that you are building are your users. So whether you work for someone, whether you do not work for someone, whether you work for yourself, you're always spending your life in fulfilling demands of user or needs of user. Okay, so irrespective of whether we start our own journey or we work for someone else, remember this, that we are on the users. Entrepreneurs are the one who have an ability to convert these users into customers. So who is a customer? Customer is somebody who, for using the product or a service or whatever that you're giving, for doing that, they take money from their pocket and then pay you the price for giving this. Whatever that way, it can be 10 rupees, 100 rupees, 1 lakh, 1 million, whichever way. So they are the guys, entrepreneurs are the guys who convert that user into customers. So they make this as a paying stuff instead of user. That's the only difference. But even if you don't become an entrepreneur, you are still dealing with users for someone else. Somebody else is actually doing this, selling it for customers, and you are doing that. So in a way, whatever you do, whichever career that you choose, entrepreneur mindset is going to be extremely important for you. Do you agree with me? Okay. If you agree, then quickly say thumbs up. If you do not agree, put your comments on this so that Vishnu can prompt me and tell me what you think. But very essential two words that I'm building here is your life is going to be surrounded by users, and entrepreneurs are the one who will actually convert these users into customers. The question I'm going to ask later is, if I'm anyway going to deal with users, why can't I convert those users into customer myself? And that is what is building ventures. Okay, when I understand the logic, if I'm going to do pura gada majuri, pura main hard work karne wala hu, everything I'm going to do and said that, then the only thing I can do is I can convert them into customers for myself, and then I can create a venture. It is as simple as this. Okay.
I see a lot of thumbs up and yeses.
Wonderful.
I agree on the YouTube comment
Super,
section.
super, super. So that means we all are in sync, and I'm so glad that we are moving in the same direction. Abhi, is it that easy? I'm going to ask you a tricky question in my next slide. Some of you would have seen this somewhere, but let me build a perspective. Changing approach. Okay. On the left hand side, you see a picture, and obviously there's a problem in this picture. You have three boys watching football match, and naturally the white t-shirt fellow is not able to see the match, whereas a black t-shirt fellow and a red t-shirt fellow are able to see the match. Do you see a problem in this picture, Vishnupriya? And
Yeah,
tell
actually.
me,
And I
yeah,
yeah. And I would
what's the problem?
encourage the students to also put this in the comment section, like what issue do you
Wonderful.
think is with the
क्या
picture in
problem है
the
ये picture में क्या problem
huh,
है?
huh.
So let's understand what the problem is.
Yes. And to me, Sushil, I think this is clearly bad design
Naturally the white. Okay.
because you have three people here, but only two of them are able to actually view the match, and
Yeah.
one
So
person
somebody
is
may
not able to. Yeah. So
somebody
it's
may put
not
it to
catering to all the users, in my
it is
opinion.
not catering to all the users. Wonderful thought, Vishnupriya. And if you look at clearly, the white t-shirt fellow is the sufferer. He is not able to see the match. Okay. Now let me ask you a question: that how can I solve this problem? Do you see a solution in this picture itself? And if so, how can I solve the problem? Let's use our problem solving idea. We use this word problem solving 10 times a day. What problem solving हम लोग करते हैं सीखते हैं स्कूल में. So let's understand how do we solve this problem. So can somebody tell me the solution to this problem? And it's
So
there in the
let's
picture.
yeah. So let's give, say half a minute or
Done.
something for the students to, put their
Super.
thoughts in the comment section. Meanwhile, we can take one question that we've been receiving
Yeah.
in the chat. So earlier in the beginning of the session, we spoke about how change is constant, right? How change is a part and parcel of life and how everything keeps changing and it's a rule of the nature. So, but there is this old, so the question is, and I quote, Sir, you said that we should adopt the change, but it is said that old is gold. Can you please throw light on this statement in context of the fact that change is constant? So I think that's a pretty deep question and
Wonderful. I think it's a
yeah.
it's a it's a topic for a 90-minute discussion. But let me just define that in another 30 seconds. The change which is happening towards around you is something which is bound to happen, whether you want to change or whether you don't want to change. Let's take a very classic example that we are going through this pandemic. This one pandemic forced us to make so many changes. I'm today talking to you through this video conferencing. Probably 2 years back, I would not have even thought of it. Okay, the education has gone completely online. Work from home, people have started working from home, so going to office has minimized completely. So this pandemic has forced us to change. It's a forced change that has happened. Okay, old is gold when we say is what is important is how do you draw lessons and learning from the old stuff use that in the context of the change, and then prepare yourself for change. So when we say old is gold, take a learning from that. See how in the perspective of the change, how can I do that? For a simple example, I'm just bringing that example. Now, we always felt traditionally that games and fun is something which is very important for children because that is how they learn. But somehow in the education system or wherever we go to the schools and all, we have traditional books, theory, knowledge, and all that stuff. So we somewhere lost that. Now, if I draw that learning and say that now, how can I gamify my learning so that children start understanding subjects better? Then I have used the information from past and used it for adapting to the change. I hope that answers your question. Let me see how people are solving this problem. Do you have some answers, Vishwadya? I'm very eager to see.
Yeah, I have a lot of answers. Just let me pull few from the many comments that we have received. So one suggestion is put a box for the third child so that he can view it. And
Okay,
another suggestion is the man should give his box to the kid because he'll be anyway able to view it.
wonderful.
And there is one option saying increase the box size so that the
Wonderful.
height is more.
And kudos
And
to you guys. Kudos to you guys. I think you have cracked the problem. I'm so happy. Why this black fellow needs a box? He's unnecessarily taking that. Why can't he give it to the white fellow so that white fellow can see that? Somebody can say that the black t-shirt fellow can hold white t-shirt fellow so that both of them can see the match. Increase the box size. Wonderful suggestion. And I'm so much sure that we have uh, cracked the problem. And this is basically a problem solving approach. We identified the problem and we tried to solve that problem. We optimize the resources. We have taken some resources, pulled it in other directions, and we have optimized the resources. And that's how we have solved the problem. Big round of applause to you all. आप जहाँ पे भी बैठे हो खुद अपने लिए ताली बजाओ. And I'm so glad that we have done that. But the next picture that I'm going to show is going to blow your mind. And this is user-centric approach of solving problems. Now look at this carefully. 2 minutes back, when I looked at a problem, I said this white t-shirt fellow is not seeing the match. That's the problem. But that was not the problem. The problem was the non-transparent wall itself. If somebody started thinking from a user point of view, and then they build that, why can't I make a transparent uh, wall? And in that case, I can't make it glass because the ball will hit and it will break. So I've made of a mesh of a metal jali, and that's how I've made. Okay. Now, if you look at this option, what has happened in this? If you talk to the users, they might come back and say that what happens if a shorter fellow compared to the white t-shirt fellow comes? Are you going to increase those boxes every point of time? Are you going to make boxes big? What if this all the three guys say that it's painful to stand for almost 90 minutes? हमको बैठ के match देखना है. Now in this picture, they can sit and watch the match, they can sleep and watch the match, they can crawl and watch the match. It's completely convenient to them. Okay, and even a shorter film can come. What has happened in this picture is we have looked at from the user point of view. In the middle picture, we have solved the problem, but we have looked at from our point of view. What is the solution? And somebody was asking me a question that idea is the starting point. Okay. Why I'm pushing that back to the second picture is unless and until you talk to the user, you should not form the idea. The idea should only come once you talk to the user and get that. Okay. So just because I've got an idea, I can solve the problem. ऐसा नहीं होता है. The idea has to be user centric. And that is a change in mindset. I want all of us sitting here mentally should start aligning ourselves to the picture number 2 instead of picture number 1. Traditionally, and to be very honest, when I looked at this picture, my first reaction was again the middle one because it's not wrong. But we have been conditioned that way to look at problems. Immediately problem aata hai, we instantly we give a solution and we start jumping guns. Okay, whereas if you get into on the right hand side, this is where you start talking to users, you understand what the problem is, the problem you try and identify from their side, and you ultimately build a user-centric solution. If I have to extend this, it can get into a design thinking, which is a topic in itself. So therefore, I'm restricting myself because that's again very close to my heart, but that's not the topic for today. So This is where we have to align completely. It's a shift in mindset, friends. And if we believe that we can do this, take a pause in every problem, look at the user, talk to the users, and this is how we do. Okay? अगर ये करना है, अगर if I have to shift this mindset and I have to get into that, how will I do that? Okay. Here comes 6 Avengers. I'm sure each one of you love Avengers. I love personally all Avengers movies. And these 6 Avengers are going to help you. And let's look at who these Avengers are. Number one, observations. Observe, continuously observe कि क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, why is it happening? Okay. Believe me, when you were a toddler or when you were 4-year-old, okay, before going to schools and all, how did you learn so many things? You were observing people. You were observing your mommy, papa, grandparents. You're observing other people. You're observing that cooker ka siti kaise bajta hai. You're observing so many things, and that is how you were learning all the stuff. Okay. The second Avenger is your listening skills. Okay. You continuously listen when you work, when you look at your own learning. You learn languages, you learn everything through listening. You learn to say mummy, ai, baba, papa, whichever way, appa, if you're in southern part, through only listening. Third is great ability to question, continuously ask questions. There is nothing like a stupid question. Oh, how can I ask this question? And you at your age can ask any question because you are not completely adulterated like us. So you can ask any questions. Then comes empathy. How do you empathize with the situation? So whatever you learn from observing, just the way we observe these three chaps who are watching football match, we observe, we listen to them, we ask them so many questions, and all the information that I got out of them, I started empathizing with them. I started feeling exactly what they are doing. Then comes ideation. So the question which somebody was asking, that is idea as a starting point. Ideation, to my mind, is the fifth point in the complete chain. But yes, it's extremely important to ideate, to innovate, to come up with a unique solution that would be suiting the users. And last one is the creation. How do I convert that idea into a meaningful product, service, something which can tangibly used by the user? Now, if you look at all these 6 Avengers, believe me, and I'm not simplifying just for the sake of simplifying, all these qualities you were having when you were 3 or 4 years old. You had a great sense of observation. You had great listening skills. You were questioning. You were asking so many questions to parents. ये चंदा कहाँ से आता है? Where does sun go? Why we are wearing like this? So many questions you used to bombard. Ask those questions. Okay. Children are the natural self of empathy. You immediately get empathized. Somebody cries, you cry. The friend cry, you cry. That is how we do. Okay. Children come up with different ways of ideating around them. Okay. And you constantly at creating. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you is as babies, as you take birth, we have all these 6 Avengers somewhere hidden in us. Then what suddenly happens? By the age of 6th and 7th, you start reading textbooks. Somebody gives you a textbook and says, this is the right answer and this is the wrong answer. You have to only pick up those keywords and then write in the examination. If you write these keywords in the examination, you will get good marks. If you get good marks, then you will get a great job. If you get a great job, you will get great salary. If you get a great salary, you will have a happy life. And we get into that cycle. I'm not by any means talking against the education, but I'm trying to identify those problems. So we go away from asking questions. Questions क्यों पूछना है? I mean, take the guide, whatever questions are there, just by heart those answers. And that is how our life, we limit our life towards books, towards information given, towards what teachers are saying. That's like a gospel truth. I want you guys to come out of that zone and say that, hey, I'm going to observe so many things. I'm going to listen so many things. I'm going to question everything that I'm going to listen, however stupid it sounds. I'm going to empathize with all that stuff I'm going to learn. I'm going to apply my own ideas. It is somewhere said that we have two types of people. We have analytical and we have creative people, because there's a left brain, there's a right brain. I've yet not found a person who only has a half a brain. Everybody has both the sides of the brain. Okay. Show me one person who has just left brain or a right brain. What does that mean? Everybody has a creative brain and everybody has an analytical brain. We just don't use those in tandem. Some people use analytical brain, some people use creative brain, and that's why we win. But believe me, if you start using both the sides of the brain, you'll be able to come up with lots and lots of ideas. You don't have to have Einstein's brain to actually come up with ideas. Very simple people have come up with path-breaking ideas, and we are going to see that. And then getting on the path of converting that idea into creating something. If you have these 6 Avengers, and I believe you have these 6 Avengers, if you use these 6 Avengers, you have an entrepreneur mind. It is that simple. Okay, and I'm not exaggerating at all. Because after working with almost 29,000 students across the country, we have proven this, where children come out with far better ideas that even we can't even think of. Okay, now let's get to the last section. How do I build an entrepreneur mindset? If I have to build that, and I'm going to build some stories for you to understand this entrepreneur mindset, and therefore I'm going to take you through a ride. So all of us are going to sit in the car and going to go on this road. So let's come up with what exactly entrepreneur mind means and how do we get that done. The first one I spoke about, openness to change. Okay, a beautiful story of Netflix. In this pandemic, especially Netflix has become a synonym for most of us. All those who do binge watching for 6-7 hours together without knowing, making parents note about it. Netflix is a great story of how these guys have moved from a DVD business to a OTT platform where you are actually having a complete subscription and streaming, taking parallels from Amazon and understanding. Now, this change, to my mind, was extremely difficult. With changing our mobile phones, changing our clothes, and all they are simple decisions. But moving your businesses from from a DVD to streaming, something which actually they looked at. But why this story strikes me, because they looked at how changes are happening in, for example, Amazon, and they build parallels. And there are many such stories. I mean, McDonald's is a classic story where they use Henry Ford's Ford Motors assembly line into making burgers, and they actually built their entire burger making, all those ovens and all, in that exact line. So people who are open to change, that's the first thing that entrepreneur mindset requires. If you're not open to change, then there's nothing which can happen. We can again go back, right? Let's look at the second one.
And
Engagement.
so, if I'd
Yeah,
like to, if I can add one point
sure,
here,
sure.
Sushil, I think this is a great example that you picked of Netflix, how they pivoted, how they changed from, a DVD business to an OTT
Streaming.
platform, right? Changing and keeping up with the times. So, what happens if we don't change? I mean, a lot of examples come to my mind. So, you guys would have heard about Kodak, or I'm not sure if you are in that age range, but Kodak was into photography. They had these photographic films that were used in cameras back in the day to take pictures. But with the advent of digital cameras and mobile phones and all those changes, Kodak could not really keep up with that change, and they stuck to what they primarily offered. And I mean, Kodak was so famous that, for special moments that had to be captured using a camera, those were called the Kodak moments. It was that ubiquitous and, so widely used. But now I don't think a lot of people remember that. So change is not only required for growing, but it's a very question of survival in many ways. So just wanted to add that
Thanks,
bit of
Vishnupriya. Wonderful
information.
example. Kodak was a Fortune 500 company then, and today it just doesn't appear. So I think it's a very interesting thing. Photo, taking picture is actually a camera's job. Okay, but the biggest innovation in taking picture, which is selfie, that you can take your own picture, actually came in a mobile phone. So mobile phone became the torch bearer of camera. Today, many people buy mobile because इसका camera का, the power of camera is significantly higher. वो call कैसे होता है, that is, they are least bothered. What they want is the best camera, because I can take a picture in 20 seconds, I can put it on Facebook, I can see how many likes I'm getting, I can delete that, I can edit that, I can put filters, and so on and so forth. But the biggest innovation came completely in a different industry. It has nothing to do with camera industry. But what has happened is that has killed this particular business. Nokia is another example, which was into mobile phones, and virtually Nokia had to sell off their complete mobile phone business because they couldn't manage the change the way Apple and Samsung did. I mean, earlier when it was mobile phone, it was only Nokia. That's the kind of equation had. So a great point, what I think Vishnu also made, is if you are not changing with time, you will just virtually get wiped out. You will forget about losing the race. You'll get virtually wiped out from the entire scene. And that's something which we have to always remember. Okay. Engagement in complex and uncertain world. Now, you may be open to change, but if you are a change driver, then you have to continuously engage in this uncertain world. You don't have to worry, oh boss, ये uncertainty है, ये risk है, ये कैसे होगा. You can't be thinking like that. You have to engage yourself into that. One of the great examples out there is Ola. And the story of Bhavish Agrawal is extremely famous. He was going from Bangalore to Bandipur in Kolkata in a taxi, and suddenly in the mid of the road, taxi wala bola ki mujhe zyada paise chahiye, I want more money. And he said, why can, I will give you only agreed money. I'm not going to give you more money. So taxi fellow driver said that, okay, get out of the car. And Bhavish got out of the car in the middle of the road at night. And he was virtually stranded and he didn't know what to do. That's the time we said that this has to be simplified. If this is what is going to happen, if the drivers are going to behave like that, if the cars need to be better, if I need to know where the car is, and I need to know, or the car driver needs to know, or a taxi driver needs to know where the passenger is, there has to be better communication. Okay, so what he used is mobile phone apps. Now, by then, mobile phones app was already a known industry. He didn't innovate it. He didn't innovate apps per se. He just used that technology for helping his users. So what is important in this entire process is, again, to understand the user and applying things to simplify their life. Okay, you don't have to be scientist. You don't have to be great at coding. You don't have to be great at technology. If you are great at understanding what user needs, if you are great at empathizing with them, then all this technology or anything can be a great enabler for you. Another example is Apple. I mean, Steve Jobs was not a computer graduate. I mean, but he built fantastic products. I mean, the market leader in today all the technology products. Therefore, it is important to understand what the user needs. And I'm again driving back you to the same point again and again. Let's look at a third one: creative and innovative approaches towards problem solving. Okay, Zomato is another classic example how this guy, Dipender Goyal, actually used innovative approaches to problem solving. He said that, why can't I bring all restaurants on one platform so that people have a great choice? अभी अगर मुझे दूसरा खाना है, I have to go to one restaurant, then I have to eat pizza, I have to go to another restaurant, third day I have to do another. So if I bring all these things on one particular platter, then the customer gets a great amount of convenience of picking and choosing where to go, reviews, and not only that, now they have started ordering also. So I can have ordering done from Zomato, sitting at home. I can peacefully eat whatever I want to eat. Again, Zomato was not the, he's not the one who invented apps. He's not the one who invented aggregation platform. He's the one used that particular technology for convenience of his user, because he's the one who was sufferer. He empathized with the problems. So the stories which I'm telling you are basically understanding the user and empathizing, and then using that technology or any such kind of a stuff for solving this. Let's look at a completely different example when it comes to belief in and confidence in one's capability. One of the most important trait of entrepreneur mind. You have to believe in yourself. If you have a pursuit, then you have to believe that, yes, I have an ability to solve this problem. Ability doesn't mean that I have all the knowledge, I have all the money, I have all the resources to solve that. No. I have an ability to understand the user, and I have ability to understand what will solve their problem. Okay. Let me give you a great example of a yesterday hero, Sylvester Stallone, who actually became very famous as Rocky. And he not only won Oscar Awards, Academy Awards, but he was the most valuable Hollywood stars in his era. But his story goes completely different. He was just virtually a roadside beggar. I mean, very poor person. But he built a script of Rocky, a boxing champion, and he went to places after places and said that I want to act in this movie and I want this movie to be made. Many people came and said that the script is powerful, but you don't have ABCD of acting. You should not act. We get another person to act, and we are ready to buy this story. He said, no, I'm not ready to sell the story if you're not going to take me as an actor. So he was persistent. People offered him more and more prizes. Somebody offered him $250,000 for the story. He said no. Then somebody said, okay, if you so insist, then we will give you only $50,000. Give us a story, you also act. Okay. They said in $50,000, let's take a try. What happens? Let's see. He accepted that. So he rejected a $250,000 offer then, and he accepted a $50,000 and he made a film, and rest was the history. It was a blockbuster because he had a great belief that I can play this role far better. It's a movie star example, but again, yet another powerful example of an entrepreneur mind. Try to take an initiative. Okay, first cry. Maheshwari, Supan Maheshwari. That's the name of the founder. He was a father, and he has child, but he has when he became first time father, he was also scared of giving any toy to his kid because कुछ भी मुंह में डाल देते हैं, they may get hurt. Some toys have sharp edges and all stuff, and he was constantly at search of safe, proper toys and all, but he didn't get anything. Now, naturally, he could have cribbed and said that, can somebody give me safe toys? I don't mind even paying 1,000 rupee per toy and stuff like that. But then he said that if this is such a need, and if this is something which every father and every parent needs, why can't I take initiative and create one? So he started First Cry as an organization, and then he built safe toys. And he today became one of the biggest toy manufacturing company virtually. Uh, uh, they bought even companies of Mahindra and Mahindra, a big stalwart, a competition they bought, and they made big inroads. So it all depends upon how you can take initiative. And remember, if you have a pursuit of opportunity, then resources. Maheshwari didn't have probably as good bank balance to make that kind of company, but he actually still made that and built a powerful house. All these are just people like you and me, whether it is Bhavish Agrawal of Ola, whether it is Dipankar Goyal of Zomato, whether it's Supan Maheshwari of First Cry. Sylvester Stallone was absolutely poor. He would be, probably virtually like, as I said, roadside beggar. But look at uh, how they actually have taken lead. Okay, why I'm telling you this story because I want to ignite that thought in your mind that if this guys can do, and how wonderfully can they do, then probably I can also do a far better job on this. Let's look at this next one. Taking personal responsibility for action. It's always easy to take some actions and then are not accountable for that. Okay, as an entrepreneur mind, you should learn to take personal responsibility, to stand up. One of powerful examples of that is ID, Idli Dosa, Mustafa. And many of you would know that Mustafa has come from extremely poor background. His father was a coolie, his mother was, uh, a maid servant, but he actually made his own education coming from a very poor background in Kerala. But again, he built this. One of the stories is he his idli dosa, that ID, has to be put under refrigerator, and sometimes what had happened is the refrigerator got blasted, and many people started complaining. The vendors, the distributor started complaining. So he took his entire stuff back and he started training people how to refrigerate, what temperature and all. So he took that responsibility on his own, and then he again built that business virtually from scratch. So this is the power of an entrepreneur mind, to take responsibilities for their own actions. So we saw about 6 things on this, and that's not enough. Let's move on this road ahead, uh, and look at what is pursuit of goal attainment. How do I attain the goal? I mean, how I should be always looking at making something big. Many of the times, we have a habit of having small dreams. Believe me, there is no such crime as big crime as dreaming small. Okay, we all have great capabilities. Whatever you dream, you'll be able to achieve. But if you dream small, then there nobody can help you. PVR. If I tell you a full form of PVR, you won't even. I don't know how many of you know, but it's Priya Village. Okay, that's the form of PVR. Now, if I would have told you how many of you know Priya Village Roadways, everybody would know. But the moment I said PVR, everybody knew it. And the journey started. Bijli, I mean that's his surname, Mr. Bijli. He had Priya and Vikas. Priya loved Vikas as a talkies, a mediocre talkies, a theater in Delhi, and that's what he was running. And he always had an aspiration that I want to give a phenomenal movie watching experience to Indian people. So he was constantly at look at it. Then he found there is one company known as Village Roadways in Australia, and he tied up with them, and that's how it became Priya Village Roadways (PVR). And he built that. He built multiplexes. PVR was the first one to start multiplexes in India. Then 9/11 happened, the attack in US, and Village Roadways virtually became bankrupt. And all the plans got completely shelved. Mr. Anand Bijli had to buy back entire share of Village Roadways. But then he still stood up because he wanted to build. He had that dream. And he took all that things. He took a lot of borrowings. Fortunately, ICICI Bank helped him. And then ultimately he built a PVR business, everything which we enjoy. Well, now, not in lockdowns, but at least before lockdown, we were enjoying. And I'm dying to see a next movie in PVR whenever the lockdown goes. But look at the power of a simple man. Just because he thought big, he could actually achieve whatever he had to do. Recognizing opportunities. I think this is something which I spoke when I spoke about entrepreneurial mindset. Book My Show is a great story for me who have recognized opportunities where people sitting at home can book tickets. And I'm sure you would not have seen that how we used to go to talkies and have a big long queues and we used to come empty-handed when the movie is houseful. Everything is on a fingertip. Again, these guys have not built mobile apps on their own. I mean, they just use technology for simplifying the user. So this is something which is extremely important. And perseverance. Story of Airbnb folks is another powerful story of how perseverance. And these guys, for your knowledge, have built a Airbnb's air, bread, and breakfast. So they just had a bread and breakfast. They used to just give a place to stay, bread and breakfast, and that's it. But then they looked at various empty spaces or restaurant or hotels or houses, and they start using this unused capacity and build a complete business. And then they become $1 billion company. They had to go through lots and lots of problems. At one point of time, the company was virtually at a standstill. One of the founders left the company. Users are not understanding. They had a great user-centric approach. It's a case study to know. I mean, you can just Google around and find out more about Airbnb. But a great story of how perseverance can actually help you to make great businesses. Taking risks, and that is what I meant by saying that without bothering about resources under your control. How do you actually do that? The story of Big Basket, who virtually revolutionized how people start buying stuff online. And many people said that who will buy vegetables? Mummy to shop mein jaake she wants to have a touch and feel of a vegetable. She wants to bargain and then she will do. But they identified that working woman, as the woman is working, she's having less and less time to shop for herself. Why don't I create a product which can help her to do that? Many of these you'll see as apps or technology products, but technology in all these products is just an enabler. The sheer thought is what is that user needs? How do I solve users' problem? Pursuit of creating value. I think the powerful and if you ask me, most important aspect of entrepreneurial mindset that you should always worry about, am I creating a value in the system? If you're not creating a value, then that journey is not worth enough. Zoom has become a synonym to mask and our this thing, sanitizers. Everybody's on Zoom today. But Zoom is again a classic example. I mean, Yuan is a founder, and he was working with WebEx and WebEx, Cisco WebEx, and he had this product to build, but he was suffocated in WebEx in Cisco, and he was not able to build the product which he wanted to build in WebEx, and therefore he decided to get out of leave the job and get out of the company. Not a very easy decision for them because at that time he was making huge money. But he said that I have a great ability to create a value. I know how to create a value. Unfortunately, in Cisco, I'm not able to make that because I have to follow guidelines and all. He came out of that, and today he made a product which is competing with WebEx and Cisco, and virtually has become a market leader, especially in this pandemic. And last but not the least is aligning purpose of life. Okay, if you have an entrepreneur mind and if you align with purpose of your life, believe me, the success will come to you. You don't have to do anything about for making success. Okay, when I say aligning purpose to your life is basically give a mission statement to yourself. For example, for me, nurturing entrepreneur mindset at early age is my purpose of life, and so is the purpose of all the people who work in Empower as a team that you work. So that alignment, if you can make, then you start enjoying this entire process. It doesn't become a problem. I mean, you don't worry for, oh, Monday aa gaya, bore ho gaya, yeah, I'm waiting for Sundays. It doesn't happen that way. You start enjoying every bit of it. The failure becomes learning, and you start, living that life just as a normal this thing. One of the great examples of this is Amul. Kurian Varghese, who started Amul in Gujarat. Amul, on a face of it, is a milk product company. But to my mind, it's not that. It is basically a supply chain company. How they beautifully build a supply chain where the middleman between the farmer and ultimately consumer like us of milk were robbing on the both sides. They created a supply chain where the farmer can give their milk and store that milk, and ultimately it reaches to the consumer directly. So all the money was going to the producer of a milk, and in fact it is owned by them. So he built a cooperative movement of this. Whether they made money, whether Varghese Kurian made money for himself, probably not as big as what other entrepreneurs have made. But he created a great amount of ecosystem which the country will talk for next few generations. So what I'm trying to tell you is if you can align all these things to the purpose, whether you make money and how much money that you make doesn't become significant. The creation, the impact, the value, the problem that you solve for the user takes the precedence, and that joy actually plays on your mind. More and more entrepreneurial stories, if you are interested. In fact, we have created a completely free of cost channel for students. We'll send this link in the chat so that you can log in on this. Read these stories. Most of the stories which I'm talking about appear out there. Give your feedbacks on that. That will help us to build more and more stories for people to love this kind of. Lastly, I'm going to spend few minutes, and I think I'm at the end of it. Vishnupriya, going to take your permission. I don't know if we have extended time. No.
We can continue, yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for your permission. I'm going to leave thought to your mind, and that goes very well with entrepreneur mindset. Many of you will ask the question that what do I do? Okay, I become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, guitarist, artist, blogger, and all these things, all the profession. That is what I do. I cure people, I build hospitals, I become a lawyer, I become a blogger. That's the profession. Okay. People will not remember you for what you do. Okay. Because there are so many people who will actually do what you do. There'll be lakhs and lakhs of doctors and engineers and chartered accountants and so on and so forth. And this is something which people will remember, but they'll remember for the profession. Then comes how do you do? So, for example, if you ask me, what do you do? I teach entrepreneurship to school children. That is what I do. Okay. Sounds interesting? Yeah, probably sounds interesting. But how do you do? What is the mechanism? What Apple does? Apple produces laptops, computers, and so on and so forth. How do they do that? They actually marry technology with aesthetics. Oh, that's brilliant. So they try and make everything so unique and so beautiful. Okay, typically, traditionally, Apple has, I mean, the computers or all these products look very jarring. I mean, they have a black box and stuff like that. If you look at Apple products, they aesthetically look so beautiful. So technology can be married with beauty is being taught by Apple. So that is how they do. Okay, that's the second question. If you ask me what do I do, we teach entrepreneurship to children. How do we do that? We gamify that experience so that children enjoy that process and absorb that. Okay, and empower them. Okay, that's again how. What is more important is why do you do what? Okay, that is called as power of why you do that. So that is basically your inner purpose कि मुझे ये क्यों करना है. Okay, why I'm teaching entrepreneurship, because I believe there's a great amount of potential unlocked in the children such as you, which needs to be unlocked. I mean, the potential which is locked, which needs to be unlocked. And then you can, if you are nurtured with entrepreneurial mindset, you can build a far better world for all of us to live. That's the power that you have. So that's our purpose statement. After we look at a purpose statement, what you do, how you do, becomes slowly irrelevant. And people start connecting to why you do what you do. Okay? That is the purpose of your life. If you build that purpose of your life and marry that with the entrepreneurial mindset, you are actually cut out to create larger uh, ventures, whether they make profit, whether they don't make profits, whether they are for profit, whether they are NGOs, whether they are foundation, doesn't matter. These are all forms. Whether you make profits or how much profit that you, I mean, for example, if I ask you a question that how much money Tatas make, nobody knows. But we know that Tatas create value. How much money Arvind Eye Care makes. We don't remember them for that. But Arvind Eye Care revolutionized eye care in this country and virtually made free of cost or absolutely low cost eye care in this country. And that takes the precedence. So you will get remembered for why you do what you do rather than what you do. So start slowly focusing over there and use your entrepreneur mindset towards that. Once you get that purpose, once you get that mission statement for yourself, and you marry entrepreneur mindset, believe me, resources, people, money, everything will follow. You should have that pursuit of following that opportunity beyond resources control, and that will make your life. I'm bringing back to this slide because I want each one of you to know what our history and heritage is. India between the first century and the 16th century, that is 1600 years, was contributing to 27% of world's economic activities. 27%, highest. I believe the second highest was China, which was 17%. And this is not research done by Indian, so that somebody will say, "Arey, to Indian." This has been done by Angus Madison, who is a British economist. He has done that study and he found that India was contributing 27%. After that, after 16th century, a lot of invasion happened. Britishers came, and then we know all the history and all. Today we are about 4-5% of world's economy. So we clearly lost the leadership position, and we came as one among top 10. We have a great opportunity from now on to go back and to reclaim our glories, and that can only happen if children like you start thinking with entrepreneurial mind, build ventures, build value, create purpose, and build meaningful economic activity. We will be able to get back all those glories in times to come. Whether it happens in 2030, 40, 50, it's only a matter of time. But we can actually put ourselves in that direction. And if this session helps you to even 1% helps you to think on that direction, I will feel a great success humbly of this session for all of us. Okay, so that is what we have. A purpose statement for us at Empower is we actually believe this as a polio dose, where we want to prick every child and take them and give this entrepreneurial kida in their mind. After that, we know that they will have far better ways of using this in their own daily life for solving small problem, medium problem, big problem, making big ventures. I think that is incidental. Each one of you will be able to do that. Stay empowered. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I'm open for eager to see comments, questions, and interact with you. So Vishnupriya, if you can help me to understand if there are any questions, if there are comments, happy to take them.
Thank you so much, Sushil. I think that was a very comprehensive journey that you just covered, even in terms of the startups and the prerequisites to have an entrepreneurial mindset. The kind of examples you gave us were very interesting, and we have shared the link of the playlist in the chat section. So those of
Super.
you who want to learn more and read more such inspiring stories, then please feel free to check out that link and go through the stories. So, and also, thank you for sharing the power of whys. So, I would encourage all the students here who have joined here today to go back to the blackboard and answer this question for yourself and ask this question in terms of the product that you have created being in the week 4 of the Tinkerpreneur journey, and see how you can weave that narrative and include that why aspect in the upcoming weeks where you will be doing a lot of marketing and online selling of your innovation. I think we have some interesting comments, Sushil. If you have any more questions, you can actually put it in the chat box. There are no questions as such as of now, but there are interesting definitions that children have shared of
Sure.
entrepreneurship. So there was one entry saying that sir, so entrepreneurship is just restarting our brain to childhood and solving problems. So that is one interesting definition that we got.
Wonderful. I
And
think that's the message I wanted to give, that nothing is alien to you. We knew how to do it. Just go back to observation, listening, questioning, analysis, and then you will be able to understand. Once you empathize with people around or the user particularly, then that will help you to define the problem. And once you define a problem well, I think ideas की कमी नहीं है. We all will come up with ideas. I mean, last 10 years which I have spent in startup ecosystem, has spoken at various forums and all. Many people say that in India, 95% of the startups fail. Most of the startups fail because not because their ideas are bad, because they do not have this entrepreneurial mindset. At the first level of problems, they give up, or they idea becomes supreme. That this is my idea, so I want to do this. But whether user needs this idea, whether user would love that, that is something which is important. So all this, if you start looking at, I think entrepreneur journey will become extremely easy.
yeah, and interestingly, there was another comment that we got saying entrepreneur is a person who solves the problem so that he and his users can get benefit. And I think students have really caught upon the idea of and the distinction between users and how you can convert users into customers as entrepreneurs. So I'm really glad that the students have already picked on the terminology and making sense out of it. So there was, I think we'll just take one question. So one question is, sir, can children be entrepreneurs? So that is,
Absolutely, yes. A big yes to you all, irrespective of the age, irrespective of, I mean, the 80-year-old also can be an entrepreneur. Take example of Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFCs, at the age of 63 became an entrepreneur. And there are examples. I mean, a best example is Oyo Rooms. Uh, Ritesh Agrawal, 17 years. He actually became entrepreneur. And his stories also, I'll take another 20 seconds to narrate his story. His father was in marketing, so he used to move places from one place to another. And poor Ritesh also used to go with him. And he found out every time father used to stay at various hotels, the rooms were not, the rooms were dirty, they were not consistent. Once he went to the hotel, and again next time he went to the same hotel, again the rooms were different. And also he was wondering, a 17-year-old chap, that why there can't be consistency. That gave him an idea of starting Oyo Rooms. At the age of 17 he started. At the age of 23 his market capitalization was higher than some of the hotel companies, Starwood Hotel Company in United States. So that's the power of idea. And believe me, I'm not exaggerating, the power of idea among children is far better than the adults. So you are absolutely right in doing, and that doesn't jeopardize your study. कि मैं studies में कम हो जाऊंगा या something like that. if you know how to strike a balance, if you know how to harbor the idea and then slowly move towards that, I think you will be able to build a great amount of balance. One more skill I speak at length in the interest of time is collaboration. Don't try to look at doing things on your own, everything. That I will first build a product, then I learn marketing, then I will learn finance, and then I will do, by that time you'll be 30, and then the idea will be died down, somebody else will come and do. Collaborate with people. You are good at talking with people and communicating, somebody else is good at technology. Marry in the sense, collaborate, and then start working together. And then take someone who understands designing of the product, somebody who's creative in terms of coding. Build a team fast, and then you can disrupt the markets. Fantastic. There are far better ways of making collaborative money and collaborative solving problems of users. So that's powerful.
Thank you so much, Sushil, and thank you for stressing on the collaboration bit. That is incredibly important. And as Tinkerpreneur, you are working with your team members and creating projects. And we at AIM can't wait to see what you've created, and are looking forward to see all those innovations. So thank you so much, Sushil, and thank you, Arvind, as well. For such an insightful discussion, for really taking us all on a journey of what entrepreneurship is really about. I see some really wonderful comments in the chat section and a lot of thumbs up. So I hope that children and teachers and mentors and whoever has joined us today, at least they a little change has come in terms of in their mindset, and they all use these skills in their lives. So thank you once again. Thank you for joining us, and
Pleasure.
for all, thank you, and all the teachers, students, mentors who have joined us. We will be back with more sessions in future. Until then, keep tinkering and keep tinkerpreneuring. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Vishnupriya. Thank you.
Thank you.